Hi, Jeremy Crow here. This video I wanted to briefly talk about the flat earth theory and what the value in that concept is. Now I know a lot of people just outright reject it instantly. Just they hear the concept, they hear the term flat earth, and instantly they're like, whatever, disproved like a long time ago. And so they won't even look at it. And I think that's a mistake, because I think that there is something to be learned from it, even if we're not talking about a literal flat earth. So there's value in the concept even if it's not literally true. So there are a lot of people who say that the earth is literally flat, that we are on some kind of like the first thing that pops in my mind is the movie Dark City, where you've got a literal flat earth and there's an edge to it, and then you can even fall off. There's somebody in the movie that falls off the edge of the earth, and that it's being controlled by these puppet master aliens that are disguising themselves as humans, but really they're aliens, and they're pulling all the strings and manipulating our minds and so on and so forth. So I think of that concept, which is such a cool idea. And that is one of my favorite movies of all time. And it doesn't have to be literally true for there to be value in that, as I was saying. And I'll explain what I mean. So if you get right down to it, what these people who talk about flat earth are discussing is that there is a mainstream narrative that is considered to be accepted by, like I said, the mainstream. The commonly accepted scientific community has a consensus of fact, and that we are supposedly very knowledgeable on the inner workings of the universe, and that we kind of know what's going on for the most part. But there's a few things here and there, little mysteries, obscure things there that we don't quite understand yet. But generally, we've got a pretty good idea of how the universe operates. And that's the mainstream narrative, that we pretty much understand most things for the most part. But the reality is that things operate in a very different manner than what that mainstream narrative says. And that there are not a lot of people that know about it, and anybody who does know about it gets shut down or blackballed or blacklisted or whatever you want to call it. They get shut down and they get ostracized from the scientific community, from their friends. They get called lunatics, things like that, right? So you've got this suppression of the way things really are, while this mainstream narrative just keeps getting pushed. And I think that is such a valuable concept, even if you don't believe literally that the earth is flat. Now, I personally am not inclined to believe that the earth is literally a flat plane that you can fall off the edge of or anything like that. I'm not inclined to believe that. I'm not saying that it isn't true. I'm just saying that it doesn't seem true literally to me. But that concept that is the underlying concept among flat earthers, I really do embrace that. And I feel like, for one thing, we can say that there really hasn't been any time in recorded history when we haven't been extremely ignorant about the nature of the universe and thought that we knew a lot. So usually we think we know what's going on, but really we got most of things wrong. And at the time, it serves us well, because we're able to make relatively useful predictions about what's going to happen when you do this, or what's going to happen when you do that, etc. And we're able to attain a certain level of mastery over our environment using these let's say, worldviews or lenses of which to view the world through. And that could be something like Newtonian physics, or the gravitational cosmology that is prevalent out there. So you've got an alternate an alternate lens of reality, an alternate way of looking at the world that's called electric universe or plasma cosmology. The two are combined, the two are united, I should say, or complementary. And this gives a very comprehensive view of how the universe operates, but it's very different from the mainstream narrative. The idea is that electricity is prevalent throughout space and plays a much larger role in the laws of the universe, the reason why the universe has formed itself into the shapes that it's found itself in, things like the craters on the moon being not impact craters, but more like arcing like surface scars from electrical arcing, stuff like that. And if you really go down that rabbit hole and you look into electric universe and plasma cosmology, there's a lot that really makes a lot of sense. In fact, there's a lot of things, especially in recent years, that electric universe theory has been more accurate at predicting, in terms of especially things like studying comets and meteors and other physical bodies in outer space, that a lot of times people have anticipated a certain reaction and then been very surprised, supposedly, when something different was observed. In terms of things like, they say, well, maybe comets aren't dirty snowballs like we thought, because we've observed this and we've observed that, and it was very surprising to us, but those same things were predicted before the observation, even on record, by electric universe proponents. So it's a very interesting thing. This could be one of those things where there's an alternate worldview that's being relatively suppressed or not being taken seriously, although the electric universe theory has been gaining some ground. But it goes against the narrative, the mainstream narrative of the gravitational view of the world, or of the universe, I should say, and of how things came together, that matter bound together through gravitational forces, and etc. So I just wanted to give that little piece out about the valuable part of the flat earth theory, and I wanted to also give a shout out to electric universe theory, and maybe you might want to take a look into that and see what you think. And until next time, everybody, stay lucid.